Ladies, stop texting, stop explaining, and stop asking, did I do something wrong? When a man distances himself from you, it's not always about you. It's about how much power you give to his silence. You want to win? Then don't chase. Don't cry. Level up. Glow up. Silence is your new strategy. Because when a queen stands tall without begging for attention, even the loudest silence turns into a man's loudest regret. When he stops calling, when the texts get fewer, when the air between you both goes from electric to eerily silent, don't rush to fix it. Don't run to close the gap. Let it breathe. Let the silence speak. Because here's what no one tells you. Your silence, when mastered, becomes louder than any scream. Silence is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's power. Raw, refined, and deadly. In a world where everyone wants to explain, defend, prove, or chase, a woman who chooses silence becomes mysterious, magnetic, and unforgettable. Think of it. Imagine you're walking through your day, and suddenly someone who used to be consistent just vanishes emotionally. Your first instinct? What did I do wrong? You check your phone. You rewrite a message 5 times. You stalk his last scene, his stories, his likes. And in that moment, you're giving your energy, your essence, your worth to someone who's already withdrawn theirs. Now flip the scene. Imagine instead of reacting, you retreat. Not in fear, but in feminine power. You post your favorite photo, not to show him, but to remind yourself who you are. You hit the gym, not for revenge, but to sculpt your energy. You take yourself to coffee, to dinner, to the bookstore, and you don't wait for his attention, because your energy is too expensive to waste on someone unsure. This is not about pretending. It's not about playing games. It's about knowing that your silence is not the absence of words. It's the presence of self-worth. Think of your silence like a candle in a dark room. It doesn't scream, but it still changes everything. Suddenly, the man who was sure you'd break starts wondering, why isn't she chasing me? The ego gets confused. The game flips. Because silence forces reflection. It creates mystery. And it pulls harder than any desperate, hey, can we talk? Let me take you to a real life story. A woman I once knew loved a man deeply. They talked daily, shared dreams, built plans. But slowly he started withdrawing. One-word replies, busy excuses, emotional coldness. She wanted to scream. Instead, she said nothing. She picked her energy up from the floor and built herself. She didn't block him. She didn't beg. She glowed. Loudly. Weeks later, he showed up. Same charm. Same excuses. You know what she said? Nothing. Because by then, her silence had healed her. He didn't leave her. He lost her. And she didn't have to say a single word for him to realize that. In another example, a woman who worked in an office faced constant disrespect from a colleague who would ignore her ideas and interrupt her voice. One day, she simply stopped reacting. No sass, no anger. She became composed, detached, focused. The silence unsettled him. Her calmness burned hotter than any confrontation. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it walks in hears and doesn't say a word. Silence is also how you teach people how to treat you. If you keep explaining your value, you're already giving away too much. Your silence tells him, if you don't see me now, you'll feel my absence later. It tells your own soul, I don't beg to be chosen, I choose myself. Men are not used to emotional stillness. They are used to women reacting, chasing, trying to fix. So when a woman stands in her silence, she becomes a mirror. And guess what? Not everyone likes what they see in that mirror. But the right one, he will be drawn to it. He will respect it. He will approach it differently. Silence is your throne. Sit on it proudly. Let the world wonder, what is she thinking? Let him miss your voice. Let him realize the power of your absence. Because a woman who knows how to stay silent with grace is louder than any woman screaming for validation. Disrespect is not a misunderstanding. It's not, he's just tired, or maybe he didn't mean it like that. It's not your job to translate rudeness into affection. When someone consistently ignores your value, cuts you off mid-sentence, belittles your emotions, or chooses convenience over commitment, that is not love. That's rejection, dressed in excuses, and it's time you start recognizing it. You see, queens don't chase after apologies. They don't decode mixed signals. They read the signs, accept the truth, and rise higher. Disrespect is a mirror, not of your worth, but of their character. So when it shows up, don't negotiate, don't justify, accept it, and move like royalty. Let me make it plain. If a man can't respond to your text with basic courtesy, if he dismisses your feelings with a smirk or laughs at your goals like they're fantasies instead of dreams, you are not being loved, you are being slowly erased. Picture this. A woman works hard all day. She's a mother, a professional, a daughter, a friend. She comes home exhausted but still cooks, still cares, still carries everything. And yet, the man in her life doesn't say thank you, doesn't notice. Instead, he complains, he criticizes, he mocks her tired eyes. That's not a rough patch. That's not men will be men. That's disrespect. And the longer she tolerates it, the louder the rejection becomes. But then one day she does something different. She doesn't argue, she doesn't beg him to notice, she just rises in silence. She signs up for a new course. She starts investing in herself. She stops asking him to love her and starts loving herself so fiercely that even the walls around her begin to whisper, she's changing. And suddenly, he notices. But by then, she's already outgrown him. Another example, a young woman in a relationship gets ignored for days after every disagreement. She gets ignored for days after every disagreement. He uses silence as punishment. He flirts with others, then blames her for being insecure. She cries, explains, forgives, repeats. That's not love. That's psychological warfare. But one day she finally gets it. His pattern is not confusion. It's control. So she walks away, not because it doesn't hurt, but because she's finally done playing therapist to a man who refuses to grow. Listen closely. The first time someone disrespects you, it's a red flag. The second time, it's a pattern. The third time, it's a choice. Your choice to stay or to walk. You don't have to scream, cry, or slam the door to show you're done. Queens don't perform pain, they transform it. Disrespect often comes wrapped in sarcasm, in jokes that sting, in last-minute cancellations, in forgetting your birthday, in not asking how your day was, in pushing you away, then pulling you back when it's convenient. That's not complicated. That's rejection. You deserve more than a love that makes you feel confused, less than, or invisible. Think of a throne. High, sacred, untouchable. When someone steps into your life, they either rise to meet your standard or they get escorted out. But you do not step down. Not for a sweet apology, not for a late night text, not for promises that keep breaking like glass under pressure. A queen knows this. If you cannot treat me with respect, you don't get access to me. My presence is a privilege, not a placeholder. I don't fight for a seat at any table. I build my own palace. Disrespect is not something to decode. It's something to detach from. It's not your burden to heal a man's wounds while he's cutting you with them. Every moment you excuse it, you teach him that your boundaries are flexible. But the day you stop explaining and start elevating, everything shifts. Not because he changed, but because you remembered who you are. So the next time he rolls his eyes when you speak, shows up late without a care, mocks your passion, or leaves your message on read while watching your story, don't chase, don't shrink, don't doubt. Stand taller, speak less, feel everything but respond like a woman who knows that royalty doesn't argue with peasants. It simply stops showing up. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she sits on the bathroom floor, eyes swollen, heart shattered, whispering to herself, why me? Why did he leave? Why did he lie? Why wasn't I enough? That question burns. It cuts deep. But that moment, the moment where tears hit the floor louder than words, that is your turning point, not your ending. Because the minute you stop asking why me and start saying, watch me, the world around you starts to shift. Why me is a question rooted in pain, in confusion and helplessness. It's the anthem of someone who's forgotten their power. But watch me, that's rebellion. That's resurrection. That's a woman rising from her own ashes with fire in her eyes. It doesn't mean the pain didn't happen. It means the pain doesn't own you anymore. Let's talk about a woman who built herself back up after a brutal breakup. He cheated, lied, blamed her for his own emptiness. She was left shattered, questioning everything. For weeks, she stayed locked in the why me cycle. Sleepless nights, overthinking, feeling like she must be broken. But then, something snapped. Not in rage, in realization. She stood in front of the mirror, red-eyed but fierce, and said, you know what? Watch me heal. Watch me rise. Watch me become the woman you'll never get access to again. And she meant it. She joined a fitness program, took solo trips, started building her business. She posted less but glowed more. Not for him, for herself. She became the kind of woman who didn't need to explain her value, she lived it. And the same man who once walked away, he came crawling back. But by then she was on a level so high, his words couldn't even reach her. Or take the woman who gets overlooked at work, always doing more but seen less. Her ideas stolen, her presence unnoticed. She starts asking, why me? Why do I always get ignored? But one day, instead of shrinking, she speaks up in a meeting. She starts her own project on the side, builds a brand, builds influence. She stops waiting to be recognized and becomes undeniable. People start to notice, not because she broke out of the why me prison and started roaring with Watch me. Even in family dynamics, this shift is powerful. A daughter constantly compared to her siblings, told she's not enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough. She grows up trying to prove, to please. But at some point, she decides to stop begging for validation. She cuts her hair, moves to a new city, chases a dream they laughed at. And when they say you've changed, she smiles and thinks, no, I just finally became everything you said I couldn't. No, I just finally became everything you said I couldn't. Now I say that I'm not going to be like you. You think you get it? You think you get it? You sing something to the world. Everything is fine now. There's something electric about a woman who stops crying for closure and starts creating her comeback. Watch me is not arrogance, it's awakening. It's when you realize that being broken is not your identity. It's just part of your story. And queens don't stay shattered. They rebuild. With gold in the cracks. Why me? Is where they wanted you to stay. Confused, dependent, small. But watch me is a declaration. A roar. It says, you may have hurt me, but you didn't end me. You may have walked away, but I found something more powerful. Myself. A woman who says, watch me, stops chasing apologies and starts chasing her purpose. She doesn't wait for closure. She becomes her own clarity. She doesn't ask to be chosen. She chooses herself. Every single time. She wakes up earlier, speaks clearer, moves wiser, and even her silence becomes a language. A language that says, I'm not the same woman who cried on the floor. I'm the one who turned her pain into power and her heartbreak into history. So when life hits you hard, when someone you trusted ghosts you, disrespects you or underestimates you, pause, feel it, then straighten your crown, walk out that door, and say with quiet fire in your eyes, why me? No, baby. Watch me. Now, baby, watch me. Saleshi, watch me. Watch me. Now, baby, watch me. Now, baby, watch me. Now, baby, watch me. You were never broken. Your inner world was just buried under noise, betrayal, expectations, and the storm of someone else's choices. When a man distances himself from you, when love goes silent, it's not always a punishment. Sometimes it's a divine redirection. That's when the real work begins. Not outside, but within. Because the most powerful rebuild doesn't happen in the gym or in your bank account or in someone's new approval. It happens inside you. Brick by brick, breath by breath. Breath by breath, breath by breath. You were never broken inside. You were not injured. You were not broken. It happens inside you. Brick by when everything around you is unstable, your inner world becomes your only real home. And baby, if your house is on fire, you don't go chasing the arsonist. You start rebuilding your sanctuary. That's where your power is. It's not in his text back, not in his apology. It's in your ability to sit with your pain, honor your emotions, and rise anyway. Think of a woman who gave everything to a relationship. Time, dreams, support. She watered his garden until she was bone dry. Then one day he left. No explanation, no closure, just silence. She shattered. But instead of staying broken, she picked up the first brick of self-worth and placed it down. She started reading books that fed her soul, not drained her heart. She started waiting for someone to ask how she was and started writing her own answers in the mirror. Slowly, her mornings changed. Her thoughts changed, her energies shifted. She didn't just move on, she moved inward, and that became her resurrection. Or think about the woman who always felt like she needed to be in control. She planned everything, held everyone together. Then life hit her hard. A breakup, a job loss, a betrayal by someone she trusted. Everything external collapsed. She had two choices: fall apart completely, or finally face the silence within. Think of a woman who gave everything to a relationship. Time, dreams, support. She watered his garden until she was bone dry. Then one day he left. No explanation, no closure, just silence. She shattered. But instead of staying broken, she picked up the first brick of self-worth and placed it down. She started reading books that fed her soul, not drained her heart. She started waiting for someone to ask how she was and started writing her own answers in the mirror. Slowly, her mornings changed. Her thoughts changed, her energies shifted. She didn't just move on, she moved inward, and that became her resurrection. Or think about the woman who always felt like she needed to be in control. She planned everything, held everyone together. Then life hit her hard. A breakup, a job loss, a betrayal by someone she trusted. Everything external collapsed. She had two choices: fall apart completely, or finally face the silence within her. So she chose to go inward. She started journaling, meditating, praying, not as rituals, but as reclamation. She realized she had never truly met herself, only the version that others molded. And what she found wasn't weak, it was wild and wise and worthy. Your inner world is your root system. A tree doesn't grow tall because of what's visible. It grows because its roots go deep. Same with you. If your peace is built on someone's presence, you're in danger. But if your peace is rooted in solitude, in self-respect, in alignment, you become untouchable. Rebuilding your inner world means setting new standards for how you think, how you speak to yourself, how you allow yourself to feel without shame. It's rewriting the narrative from "I'm not enough" to "I am everything I need." It's no longer begging for closure, because you've become so full of clarity, their silence can't shake you. There's a woman out there who once thought her worth was tied to how needed she was. She gave to her. So she chose to go inward. She started journaling, meditating, praying, not as rituals, but as reclamation. She realized she had never truly met herself, only the version that others molded. And what she found wasn't weak, it was wild and wise and worthy. Your inner world is your root system. A tree doesn't grow tall because of what's visible. It grows because its roots go deep. Same with you. If your peace is built on someone's presence, you're in danger. But if your peace is rooted in solitude, in self-respect, in alignment, you become untouchable. Rebuilding your inner world means setting new standards for how you think, how you speak to yourself, how you allow yourself to feel without shame. It's rewriting the narrative from "I'm not enough" to "I am everything I need." It's no longer begging for closure, Because you've become so full of clarity, their silence can't shake you. There's a woman out there who once thought her worth was tied to how needed she was. She gave too much, said yes too often, ignored her own fatigue, until one day she broke down in her car, screaming in the silence. That breakdown became her breakthrough. She started saying no. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. She started doing yoga, not for the body, but for the stillness. She learned to sit in a cafe alone without feeling lonely. She learned to sleep peacefully without checking her phone for his good night. That's power. Because true confidence doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it doesn't prove. It simply exists in the stillness of a woman who's met her own soul and decided it was enough. Rebuilding your inner world also means creating rituals that protect your peace. It's in the way you start your day with intention. It's in the boundaries you set without guilt. It's in the audacity to walk away from anyone who threatens your inner calm. It's no longer about appearing strong. It's about being unshakable from the inside out. When the world says you're too much, your inner voice whispers, you're just enough. When someone ghosted you, your soul said, I am still here. When the external noise gets loud, your inner world becomes your retreat, your power, your throne, your kingdom. Because the most powerful woman is not the loudest in the room. She's the one who's rebuilt herself so deeply within, nothing outside can destroy her again. You are not in competition with another woman. You are in competition with your past self, your fears, your self-doubt, your unhealed wounds. The moment you realize that another woman's glow doesn't dim your own light, that's the moment you unlock a version of yourself that's untouchable. The real queen doesn't play chess with other women. She builds her own empire so big, she doesn't even hear the noise. Competing with another woman is like fighting over a crown in a room full of mirrors. You're already wearing one. Let's talk real. You see her on Instagram, perfect smile, perfect body, perfect relationship, and suddenly you start shrinking. You start comparing. You question if you're behind, if you're not enough, if maybe she's winning and you're not. That's where the poison starts. Comparison is the thief of joy, but it's also the thief of focus. Because what you're seeing is a highlight, not her fight. You don't know what she battles behind that smile. You don't know the nights she cried or the strength it took for her to show up like that. There's a woman who once felt invisible because her partner constantly praised another girl, liked her pictures, brought up her name in casual conversation. She started feeling less than. She tried to dress like her, talk like her. She became a clone of someone she didn't even know. But then something hit her one day. If I have to become someone else to be loved, I'm not being loved, I'm being performed for. So she stopped performing. She started becoming her again. Her style, her voice, her laugh. And guess what? She didn't lose anything worth keeping. She gained herself back. Elevating beyond the game means stepping out of the arena where women are pit against each other like prize fighters. It means clapping for another woman without feeling insecure. It means looking at her glow and thinking, if she can shine, so can I. Because true confidence isn't threatened by another woman's beauty. It's fueled by it. You don't win by dimming her light. You win by finding your own brilliance and letting it burn unapologetically. Imagine two women working in the same office, same position, same pay. One is constantly trying to outdo the other. She gossips, competes, sabotage. The other, She supports, uplifts, minds her own path. Guess who ends up thriving? The one who was too focused on building herself to tear someone else down. Because real success comes with grace, with discipline, with a mindset that says, I don't need to compete, I need to create. We've been conditioned to think there's only room for one queen in the room. That's a lie. Real queens build tables. They pull up chairs. They see another woman's win as part of the collective victory. If she wins, the standard rises. And when the standard rises, we all rise. There's also the girl who watches her ex with someone new and starts spiraling. She wonders, what does she have that I didn't? The answer? Nothing you lack, just something different. You were not replaced, you were rerouted. And instead of watching his new girl, watch yourself. Watch yourself grow. Watch yourself become the woman you were too distracted to notice. That's not competition. That's evolution. You don't need to match her curves, her confidence, her career. You just need to match your potential. When you stop looking sideways, your steps get faster, your goals get clearer, your energy gets magnetic. You don't have time to be jealous. You're too busy building. That's elevation, that's power. Because the woman who competes is playing a short-term game, but the woman who rises above it, she's playing for legacy, for purpose, for peace. She doesn't care who's watching. She knows who she is. And when you know who you are, no one else becomes a threat. They become proof that power is possible, beauty is endless, and queens don't fight for thrones. They build kingdoms. No one else can rule. He left like your love was disposable, like your heart was a napkin he could use and toss away. No warning, no closure, just silence where there used to be, I love you. And now, out of nowhere, he's back. A message, a memory, a casual, hey, how have you been? And for a moment, your heart stirs because it remembers the warmth, not the wounds. But pause right there. This isn't the time to melt. This is the time to ask the real question. Does he still deserve you? This is not about revenge, ego, or proving anything. It's about power. Your power. It's about knowing that just because he returned doesn't mean he earned access to the woman you've become. You see, when he left, he didn't just leave a void. He gave you space. Space to grow. Space to heal. Space to rise in ways he never expected. And now that you're standing taller, smiling brighter, walking in peace, suddenly he wants to knock again. But this is not the same door, and you are not the same woman. There's a woman who once waited months for a message from him. She checked her phone every night, reread old chats, replayed every word he ever said, searching for clues, for reasons. And then one day it came that I miss you, that I've been thinking about you. Her hands trembled, her heart raced, but instead of running back into old flames, she sat down and asked herself, what part of me would I have to kill to let him in again? And in that silence, she found her answer. Some doors don't need reopening. They need rebuilding. With locks, only self-respect can open. Understand this. When he returns, he's not just testing you. He's testing your growth. Did you spend those lonely nights becoming desperate? Or did you spend them becoming dangerous? In the best way possible. Did you just survive the heartbreak? Or did you use it as fuel to evolve? Another woman faced a similar moment. Her man walked away right when she needed him most. She cried, broke down, questioned her worth. But over time, she started therapy. She started waking up early, writing affirmations on her mirror, moving her body, mastering her mindset. She built a new life that didn't revolve around his attention. Months later, he returned. Charming, regretful. But when she looked at him, she didn't see a lover. She saw a lesson. And baby, she had already graduated. Because the man who left you in confusion doesn't automatically deserve you in your clarity. You've worked too hard to rebuild your spirit, to stitch your heart back together, to find peace in your solitude. Don't undo that work for temporary comfort. Nostalgia is not love. And memory is not a reason. Sometimes he comes back not because he loves you, but because he misses the version of you who tolerated less. Don't become that version again just to feel wanted. When you rebuild yourself with honesty and fire, you become rare. And what's rare is often chased again. But not everything that's chased deserves to be caught. Think of the woman who once said yes to every apology, to every sweet word that meant nothing. She feared being alone more than being disrespected. But then she flipped the script. She learned the art of being alone without being lonely. And when the same man returned, expecting the same access, she smiled, not with bitterness, but with boundaries. She didn't slam the door. She simply outgrew the need to open it. He might come back with flowers, with guilt, with promises, wrapped in poetry, but your decision has to come from power, not pain. Ask yourself, did he change, or is he just uncomfortable watching you glow without him? Did he grow, or is he just regretting the way you slipped through his fingers? You are not here to be someone's backup plan. You are not the woman he returns to when others fail him. You are the woman who chooses, not waits to be chosen. So here you are, standing at a crossroads between who you were and who you're becoming. A woman no longer begging for bare minimum, no longer shrinking herself to fit into someone else's temporary desire. You are not the same girl who once waited for his call, who cried over his silence, who questioned her worth just because someone couldn't see it. No, you are something entirely different now. You are a woman reborn in fire, built from heartbreak, sculpted by solitude. And that version of you, she doesn't chase love, she commands it. Let the world misunderstand you. Let him wonder what changed. Let them all be confused by your silence. You don't owe anyone the soft version of yourself just because they can't handle your power. The most dangerous woman is the one who chooses herself without apology, without explanation. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves to know the healed version of you. Some people only qualified for your brokenness, not your brilliance. You're not here to prove your worth to a man who couldn't see it the first time. You are not a museum of second chances. You are a masterpiece still in the making. And masterpieces don't explain. They don't beg. They don't wait. They evolve. You see, the most beautiful revenge is no revenge at all. It's living in a way that makes them regret ever letting you go, not out of spite, but out of grace, out of growth, out of glow. One day he'll scroll through your profile and see the sparkle in your eyes again. But it won't be for him. One day he'll remember the way you laughed, the way you loved, the way you were willing to fight for him. And it'll sting. Not because you hurt him, but because he hurt the one person who would have given him the world. But by then you'll be long gone. Not bitter, not broken, just better. If he left, let him stay gone. If he returns, let him face the version of you who no longer waits. You are not here to be remembered when it's convenient. You are here to be honored in real time. Because you are not a secret. You are not an option. You are not someone's almost.